Okay, guys. All right. So you've got an AR-15, or you're going to get an AR-15. You've decided you want a main battle rifle, a rifle you can defend your home and freedoms with, and your family. So which one do you get? There's literally hundreds of companies and probably thousands of models, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were tens of thousands of variations of this rifle that you could reasonably afford. But if you're only going to have one rifle, if you're only going to have one main battle rifle, then there's a couple of features I think you should get. The first one, the most important one, is your barrel. You buy barrels separate from the upper receiver. You can buy complete receivers with the barrel attached already, and that's fine if you find the deal you want. But the important thing in that is not the name of the manufacturer. The most important thing is the barrel. You want a 20-inch barrel. That's not popular right now. Everyone wants the short barrels. They want the 14-inch barrels or the 16-inch barrels, or on the outside an 18-inch barrel. But the round, the 5.56 by 45 millimeter, needs a 20-inch barrel to build up enough speed to be lethal at ranges past 150 yards. Why do you want to be lethal past 150 yards? Because you want to be able to shoot the other guy before he can shoot you. And if you have that 20-inch barrel, that's going to give you what's called standoff. And standoff is just a beautiful thing. If you can kill the other guy before he can kill you, then you're going to win every time. And that 20-inch barrel gives you standoff. It also gives you increased lethality at closer ranges too, because the bullet's going faster. And the faster you can get a bullet going, the more damage it's going to do on target, the more penetration it's going to have. So the 20-inch barrel is, in my opinion, critical. Unless you know you're going to be operating in an urban environment and you're not going to be shooting over 100 yards. And then if you want to downsize the barrel a little bit for ease of maneuverability and weight, that's a choice you can make. But make that choice knowledgeably. Know what you're giving up. You're giving up lethality, you're giving up range, you're giving up accuracy. Also, those shorter barrels, in my opinion, it reduces the rifle's usefulness for hunting. This is a do-it-everything rifle. This is a survival rifle. This is a go-to-war rifle. When you want it to do everything, you need the 20-inch barrel. Yeah, I mean, you could talk me into needing the 24-inch barrel. Actually, the 24-inch barrel is where you get the maximum amount out of a round. The 20-inch barrel is a compromise with convenience and portability. Anything less than that, and you're giving up performance. A few other things to keep in mind about the barrel is twist, rifle twist, the twist of the rifling inside the barrel that stabilizes the bullet. There's three different options. There's a 1 in 7 twist, a 1 in 8 twist, and a 1 in 9 twist. This is important stuff. And you have to know what kind of shooting you're doing to know what kind of twist you need. The 1 in 9 twist is sort of the standard. It's what the military uses. It stabilizes lighter bullets, the 55 grain and the 62 grain bullets that the military and law enforcement frequently use. That's an important consideration because in any kind of situation where you're defending your freedoms, your primary source of ammunition are going to be law enforcement and military. You can read between the lines there. So you want to be able to accurately shoot the ammunition you're going to be able to get your hands on. However, the heavier bullets that are better stabilized by the 1 in 7-inch twist they're heavier, so they're more effective at killing, they're more lethal, and they're better hunting rounds. So that's the advantage of the 1 in 7 twist. Where the 1 in 8 twist fits in is it's compromise. It does good with both ranges. It's maybe not as good on the extreme high ends of the heavier bullets as the 1 in 7. By all accounts, it does just fine with the lighter bullets that the 1 in 9 does too. The 1 in 8 is a really good compromise. I would suggest getting that 1 in 8-inch twist in your rifle barrel, especially if you're getting a longer barrel. The 1 in 8 twist is associated with more high-end barrels too. The other thing is your chamber. There's 3 chambers. There's the 223 Remington, which you probably won't see very often, but if you do see it, steer away from it. There's the 5.56 chamber, and then there's the 223 Wild chamber. The 223 Wild is kind of a newer thing. It's not a different bullet, but it's a compromise chamber between the 223 Remington and the 5.56 by 45 millimeter, which are almost identical rounds, but they're just slightly different. So that with the 223 Wild barrel, you get really good accuracy and reliability out of both rounds. Whereas You can't fire the 5.56 in the 223 Remington chamber at all, and the 223 Remington doesn't live up to its potential in the 5.56. This isn't a huge deal. If you get a 5.56 chamber, you're going to be fine. But if you have an opportunity to pick up the 223 Wild chamber, it's not going to cost you anymore, and it's a good idea. It just gives you a little bit more flexibility. The other thing, and this is controversial, everyone will disagree with me here, but I say you want the fixed carry handle. You don't want the removable carry handle if this is your only weapon, if this is your main battle rifle, because those Picatinny rail style, and that's not the right terminology, but I'm sorry, that's what everyone calls it, handles, they loosen, and when those loosen, whatever your sights or your optics are loosens with them, and your zero moves and your accuracy goes downhill. And an inaccurate rifle is pretty much pointless. So I say, if you're going to have one rifle, have that rifle have the fixed carry handle that doesn't come off, and have the M16 A2 sights. Those A2 sights are a fantastic sight. In the Marines, we used them out to 500 yards and on man-sized targets, and they're accurate. They're accurate out to that range. I've got an adjustable stock on this one. I don't like the adjustable stocks. I got it because it was inexpensive at the time, and I was trying to keep this project, this build a little cheaper. They rattle, they move a little bit, they affect accuracy, and you couldn't butt stroke someone with this. If you came down to a little hooking and jabbing, you're going to end up breaking your butt stock if you butt stroke someone with this one, and that's just an option you want to have. So I don't suggest the adjustable stock. I'm going to replace this at one point with a fixed stock. I've just got to get around to finding one. There's a few things to stay away from. You don't want a carbon fiber lower. I'm sure that as time goes on and the technology improves, they will be good to go. But so far, it's too new in their life cycle, and they just haven't been proven yet. You want a rifle that can last you a lifetime and that you can leave to your sons, maybe even your grandsons, and carbon fiber has not established that kind of legacy yet. The other thing is, you're starting to see a lot of rifles these days without the forward assist. And I've got to be honest with you, of the thousands and thousands of rounds, and I've probably put 20,000 rounds through AR-style rifles over the years, I've never actually really used the forward assist, maybe 3 or 4 times. So it's not a critical feature on the rifle. My question is, why wouldn't you have it? It's not going to add anything as far as price goes. And who knows, one day you might need it, and it would be nice to have. The other thing is, you're starting to see guns without the dust covers anymore. And if you just have a ranged gun, it's a tack driver, maybe that's fine. I don't know why you would do that. It doesn't add anything to the price of the weapon. And if this is your main battle rifle, then that feature is invaluable. It keeps dust out of the chamber, it keeps dirt and grit out of the chamber, it lengthens the life of the weapon, reduces the amount of cleaning you have to do, and reduces foul and jams. Those are the big things. There's a few other things to keep in mind. This is a direct gas impingement system. There was a trend a few years ago to put piston-driven systems in AR-15s so that they would function similar to the AK-47 or the M1 Garand or the M1A1 or the Mini 30 and Mini 14. All extremely reliable weapons, as long as you judge reliability by every time you pull the trigger they make a noise. And some of them are really good weapons. I mean, the Garand and the M1A1 and the 2 Rugers are solid weapons, the M1 Garand being a fantastic weapon. But they completely changed the character of the AR-15. They add weight, they add moving parts, and they're less inherently accurate because of that mass moving backwards. It jerks your rifle around and it makes for lower accurate follow-up shots. If you just want a piston-driven weapon, then go buy a weapon that was designed to be piston-driven. But if you get an AR-15 that's piston-driven, you have completely lost all the advantages that the weapon has, which is the total simplicity of mechanical functioning. This has some of the least amount of moving parts you can possibly have in a rifle. The other thing I would say is, there's some things you just don't have to spend that much money on. Guys get a little crazy sometimes about the lower receiver and the bolt carrier group, and even some silliness sometimes like the charging handle. And for sure, if you want to spend that kind of money, you got that money to spend, great. But if you're making a service-grade main battle rifle, your go-to-war, defend your family, protect your freedom rifle, you don't have to spend that much money to have a weapon that'll last you a lifetime. Any of the mil-spec, and by mil-spec that means military specifications, the quality that the military would expect if it was buying the rifle. Any mil-spec parts are going to last you a lifetime with reasonable use, or not even reasonable use, but with reasonable maintenance. So there is a ton of well-priced manufacturers out there. I can think of Anderson Arms, Palmetto State Armory, who made my lower, and there's a bunch of others. Any kind of list I could come up with would be incomplete, that are going to give you a good, solid lower receiver with a serviceable trigger. You can always upgrade stuff later. If you get a rifle and you decide you need that better trigger, you can. That's an easy swap. You don't have to buy a $500 lower receiver to get a good trigger. Any semi-competent gunsmith can switch out that trigger group for you later on when you decide you need it. And the same thing with some other components. The charging handle, there's $200 charging handles out there, as opposed to the $15 mil-spec charging handle and whatnot. You can put together a really good, solid service-grade rifle for under $700. I think I've got 650 in this one. It's not quite what I want it to be because I don't have the fixed stock yet. But once I get that fixed stock on there, then this will be a really good rifle, and one I think every man should have, or one a lot like it. So that's my 2 cents. Take it for what it's worth. Appreciate you listening. Take it easy.